year 1996 was pretty good for Japanese pop culture, if not for anything else. This was the year that the Harajuku style popped up for the first time, really shaking the shackles of tradition off the somewhat monotone youth culture. The Nintendo 64 released that year, bringing one of Japan's most infamous companies through the 3D era, while on handhelds across the country, Pokemon was battling its way into the hearts of the youth. And the mecha genre produced some real banger hits to boot, and after the prior year, it sure could use it. The 08th MS team released its first episode this year. The story was a strange mix of Romeo and Juliet and Apocalypse Now, and takes Gundam back to the One-Year War to hit on the South Asia campaign against the Zeon. The story follows, as one might infer, the 08th MS team as part of the experimental Gundam unit taking on all manner of Zeon forces. The head of the team, Shiro Amada, had a chance encounter with Aina Sahalin, a Zeon test pilot and the closest that UC-0079 has to a Zeon princess. During his battles against the Zeon, fate brings the two of them together again and forces him to make choices that could put his entire team at risk. An all-time classic, the 08th MS team was brought to the States in the wave of popularity that Gundam Wing brought, and is available from Right Stuff currently on Blu-ray and DVD. Hikarion was spawned this year as an OVA and spun off 2 TV series, but it was a show about sentient robots like Transformers and really isn't our speed. Which is good because footage is scanty for this one. Still bears mentioning for the sheer oddness of this train-themed mecha show. Brave Command Dogwon was the last Brave series before the one that really matters. It was oddly unpopular among younger children, but young women found the character designs appealing. Likely spurred on by Gundam Wing, the character designs of the series were the sort of pretty boys that brought ladies into the genre to begin with. The show featured the same kind of thing that the Brave series had done before, with the addition of battlesuits before the full mecha integration. It got an OVA spin-off, but the next series would cast a long shadow over it. Vision of Escaflowne is by and large the biggest reason that this mecha era is referred to as the Fusion Generation. Vision of Escaflowne took girls' fantasy in the vein of Fushigi Yugi and mixed it with the intrigue and all-out warfare of harder-hitting mecha anime to create, without a doubt, an all-time winner. The story features Hitomi Kanzaki, a girl who's been taken to the land of Gaia to help Von Fanel restore his throne while battling the evil empire of Zybok. While it doesn't sound like anything too fascinating, the combination of high fantasy and swashbuckling mecha made a mix that had not really been seen since shows like Dunbain and Galliant. The character designs were all extremely lanky and unique, and the series featured music by the great Yoko Kanno to enhance the beautiful artwork. The show was brought to the States twice now, with a different dub for each release. After War Gundam X is sort of the black sheep of the Gundam series. It suffers from the same sort of problem that Final Fantasy VIII does, in that it came after Gundam Wing, which was exceptionally popular. This meant that no matter what its overall quality, the series would never hit those dizzying heights, and the show would suffer for it. The show did middling numbers, but it was also switched into a time slot intended to kill it off halfway through its run. It ended up doing just that, the first Gundam show to get cancelled early since the original run in 1979. The series took place on an Earth ravaged by colony drops, the aftermath setting somewhat off-putting to Gundam fans who are used to more familiar settings. The mecha designs were somewhere between adequate and exceptional, but the animation suffered often from a thin budget. The show finally made it stateside, where it awaits proper appreciation from a more refined viewing audience. Martian successor Nadesco has a strange pedigree to its name. For one part, the show has a real love of screwball comedy and harem-esque romance. For the other part, it clearly loves Macross to a worrying degree. The show centers around Akito Tenkawa and Captain Eureka Misimaru's weird love affair, all while Earth is under attack by robots from beyond Jupiter. Making matters worse, the Nadesco, the battleship they're all serving on, is the only thing standing between Earth and Jupiter, and is crewed by a bunch of goofballs. However, the show also has a love affair with deep tragedy, as it pulls hard turns on the audience as often as it springs them on the crew. The dub is well worth a watch and entirely accessible. The only thing stopping it from being a show to end all shows is the fact that the second season was a Sega Saturn game, and the movie that came out later assumed that everybody played it. Tragic, but worth a pickup all the same. Choja Raidin gets a nod for being in the same vein and existing in that same sort of nebulous region of powered armor for the purposes of this series. In spite of sharing the name of one of the progenitors of Mecha, Choja Raidin is more of a Super Sentai Bubblegum Crisis sort of series and does not really feature giant robots in the same ways as the other series on this list do. It fits more in line with Tekkaman Blade and Detonator Organ, but deserves a nod for what it ended up as. The genre took a real heavy break in 1997 from original content, satisfied with sequels and spin-offs. So we'll take a look at 97 and 98 together next time, and prepare to leave the 20th century behind.